Hello everyone and welcome to Serendipity in Quarantine. Today we are going to learn about Constitution as a living document. So in this chapter we will be seeing what is constitutional amendment, how it is made and why it is one of the important feature of our Indian Constitution. So let us begin. So there are some countries in which there was not only one constitution but it was made many times. For example, in case of Soviet Union, they had four constitution in the life of its 74 years, and even in when the newly Russia was formed, it again adopted new constitution. But in our country, the Constitution of India was adopted on 26 November 1949 and was implemented formally started from 26 January 1950. But we are after still 69 years we are still following the same constitution, and it is still functional as a framework within which government of our country operates. So why our constitution is still existing? Is it that good that we did not need it any change? No, our constitution is still existing because from time to time we made appropriate changes as the situation requires. So our constitution accepts necessity of modification according to the changes and changing need of the society. So it is enough flexible for interpretation. Hence constitution is called as a living document rather than a closed and a static rule book. So there is a provision in our constitution that would naturally reflect the efforts to tackle problems that society is facing at the time of making constitution. So at the same time, constitution must be a document which provides framework for government for the future as well. So therefore constitution has to be able to respond to the challenges that may arise in the future. Hence constitution makers made it amendable. So constitution is not a frozen or an unalterable document. Rather, changes can be made, revisions can be done, and even re-examination can be done of the constitution. So the constitution maker recognized that in future this document may require modification, and even at the time of writing of constitution there were some differences of the opinion. So hence they made constitution as a sacred document, that is an instrument that may even require changes from time to time. So it is not a static document. So now we will see how the constitution is amended. According to Article 368 of the Constitution, Parliament may in exercise for its constituent power amend by the way of addition, variation or repeal any provisions of this Constitution in accordance with the procedure laid down in its article. So as we previously saw, constitution is both flexible and rigid. It means that flexible as it is open to change, and rigid it means that it has some resistance to change. So it is not a very easy procedure to make a considerable change in the constitution. We have to follow some of the procedure laid down in the constitution. So some of the provisions of the constitution that were temporary in nature, and it was decided that this could be altered later once the new parliament was elected. But these changes cannot be added to the nature of amendments. So at the same time constitution was framing a federal polity, and therefore rights and powers of the state could not be changed without the consent of the states. So there are three main types to amend the constitution. So first one is similar to ordinarily law, that is by simple majority of the parliament. So this is not written in the main body of the constitutional amendment. Then there is special majority type, in which special majority in the both houses is required as per article 368, and in case of some issues related to states, there should be special majority plus legislature of the half of the state should ratify the bill. So in case of simple law, simple majority, the simple law of parliament is amendment. So no specific procedure for amendment is required in such cases. So there is no difference at all between amendment and an ordinary law. So it is very flexible. So by the wording by law, it indicates that these articles can be modified by Parliament without recourse to the procedure laid down in Article 368. So, for example, under Article 2, Parliament may by law admit into union or new states. By Article 3, Parliament may by law increase the area of any states. So, these amendments are not followed by the procedure laid down under Article 368. Then in case of special majority, there are two conditions which are to be followed. That is, special majority of the parliament, special majority in case of both houses, that means majority of the total seats of the house and the 2/3 seats of the present and voting. And in case of states, the special majority of the parliament and consent of half states of the legislature. So this makes it rigid and complicated, the amendment process. So the only elected representatives of the people are empowered to consider and take final decision on the questions of the amendments. Thus the sovereignty of the elected representatives, that is parliamentary sovereignty, is basis of the amendment procedure. So now we'll see special majority in detail. So there are two different kinds of special majorities. First is voting in the favor of amendment bill should be constitute at least half of the total strength of the house, and secondly, supporters of the amendment bill must also constitute 2/3 of those who are actually taking part in the voting. For example, if the house, for example, in case of Lok Sabha, there are 545 members, so therefore any amendment must have support of minimum half, that is 273 members, and even if only 300 members are present at that time, then amendment bill must get support of 273 out of them. So this make it very difficult, as there is not always majority of the party who is for the bill. So this makes amendment procedure rigid. So the principle of special majority, there are two principles which dominate this various procedure of the amending constitution in modern constitutions. For example, in case of USA, South Africa, there is this principle of special majority, and in other countries like Switzerland, there is people participation in the process of amending the constitution, like referendum. Now the third one, ratification by states. So when the amendment aims to modify an article related to distribution of powers between states and the central government, or article related to representation, and it's necessary that the states must be consulted and that they give their consent. So the legislature of half of the states have to pass the amendment bill before the amendment comes into effect. So this provision respects states, gives them participation in the procedure. It at the same time it is flexible, as only half states are required to give their assent, and only simple majority is required. So this was the third procedure. Now we'll see why there have been so many amendments. So until now, that is till 26 January 2019, there have been 103 amendments in total. So this is a large number as compared to other constitutions. So now we'll see one graph which shows amendments done in the period of decade. So in the first decade, there were some technical amendments, like only changes in the procedure or the laws. But in case from 1970 to 1990, there was a large number of amendments. So this was the period of controversial constitutional amendment as well as detailed constitutional amendment. And post 1990, there was decrease in amendments, and most of these amendments were based on the interpretation of the constitutional documents. So we'll see that the content of the amendments made so far. So as I said, the first group was only technical or administrative in nature. For example, there was amendment to increase the age of retirement of High Court judges from 60 to 62 years by 15th Amendment. Then similarly, in 54th Amendment, there was changes in the salaries of the judges of the High Court and the Supreme Court. Then also there was original provision that said that reservations were for the period of only 10 years, but it was again extended for the period of 10 years and so on. So these saw 6 amendments so far. Then under Article 74(1), it was made amendment to clarify that advice of Council of Ministers will be binding on the President. So these were the first half of the amendment. Then there was differing interpretation, that is the product of different interpretation of constitution given by judiciary and the government. So this underline one of the particular interpretation as authentic one. Parliament had to insert an amendment, and then again judicial review used to make these amendments unconstitutional. So this was majorly saw between 1970 and 1975. Then there were amendment through political consensus. So the consensus among political party resulted into some of the amendments which reflected prevailing political philosophies and aspirations of the society. So in fact many of the amendments of the post 1984 period were instance of this trend. For example, anti-defection amendment of 52nd amendment law, then anti-defection amendment in 91st amendment, then 61st amendment to bring down the minimum age for voting for 21 to 18, and 73rd and 74th amendment act for for Panchayati Raj and municipal local government. And there are some controversial amendments, as I said, between period of 1970 to 1980 had lot of legal and political controversies. Majorly the 3 amendments, that are 38th, 39th and 42nd amendment, they have been the most controversial amendments so far, but because these amendments were made in the background of internal emergency declared in the country from June 1975. And the most important one is 42nd amendment, as it is the one of the largest amendment to the constitution. There was attempts to override the ruling of Supreme Court given by the Keswanand Bharti case. For example, increasing duration of Lok Sabha from 5 to 6 years. Then there was inserting of fundamental duties. Then even changes were made in the preamble of the constitution and also to the 7th schedule of the constitution. And total 53 articles of the constitution were amended through 42nd amendment act. And the most controversy against it was MPs belonging to the opposition parties were in the jail during this period. So there was no total discussion done on this amendment. So this was only one in one direction of the ruling party. So after the ruling party was defeated in the next election, in 43rd and 44th amendment, these cancelled most of the changes that were affected by 38th and 39 as well as in 42nd amendments. Now we will be seeing the most important point, that is basic structure and evolution of the constitution. So as we have learned before that in Keswanand Bharti case, Supreme Court ruled that there is limit to Parliament's power to amend the constitution, as it says that no amendment can violate the basic structure of the constitution. So it allowed Parliament to amend any and all parts of the constitution within its limitation, and it also placed judiciary as final authority in deciding if the amendments violated the basic structure and also what is included in this basic structure. So the theory of basic structure is itself an example of living constitution, as it as a living being, it allowed constitution to show changes as the situation requires. So all living documents evolve in the manner through debates, arguments, competition and practical politics. So the basic structure doctrine has further consolidated balance between rigidity and flexibility. Rigidity in a way that it did not allow to make changes in the basic structure, and flexibility in a way that within its limitation there was it was allowed to Parliament to change the constitutions. Then in many decisions of the Supreme Court had held that reservation in the jobs and educational institution cannot exceed 50% of the total seats. So this has now become accepted principle. Similarly, in the case of involving reservation for other backward classes, Supreme Court introduced idea of creamy layer. So they ruled that a person belonging to this category were not entitled to the benefits under reservation. And there were also many other interpretation. For example, in case of right to education, right to life and liberty, right to privacy, right to form and manage minority educational institution, etc. So this made constitution as a living document. So as a living being, this document keeps responding to the situation and circumstances arising from time to time. So a constitution which protects democracy and yet allows for evolution of the new practices becomes not only durable but also an object of respect from the citizens. So hence, unlike Soviet Union, our country still respects and follows this framework given by our constitution. So this was the end of this video. If you like this chapter and if you like this video, please like, comment and share on this video and subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Thank you.